Hello everyone. Recently an opinion has emerged that the Kaaba and the Hajj rituals performed by Muslims were actually taken by Islam from Hinduism. Well, regardless of whether we agree or disagree with this opinion, let's first look at the arguments until the end. Let's start. This article from danielpipes.org. You know that Kaaba was a Hindu temple taken over by Muslims. King Vikramaditya inscription on a gold dish hung inside the Kaaba. In pure scientific study about the historical Muhammad raises basic questions concerning the Prophet's role as a moral paragon, the sources of Islamic law, and the God-given nature of the Quran. The scientists even doubt the existence of Muhammad. Scientists say that the Quran is not a product of Muhammad, or even of Arabia, but a collection of materials, stitched together to meet the needs of a later age. There was no Islam until 200 or 300 years after the traditional version, at around 830 CE. The Arab tribesmen, who conquered in the 7th century vast territory, were not Muslims, but were persons who worshipped idols, and our scientists call them pagans. Even though Prophet Muhammad was born in the full light of history, the earliest document date about a century and a half after his death. Not only does this long lapse of time cast doubt on their accuracy, but internal evidence strongly suggests the Arabic sources were composed in the context of intense partisan quarrels over the Prophet's life. The earliest sources like papyri, inscriptions, and coins on the Prophet's life contradict the standard biography. An inscription and a Greek account fix Muhammad's birth in 552, not 570. Muhammad's career took place not in Mecca, but hundreds of kilometers to the north, quoted from Yehuda Nevo. The classical Arabic language was developed not in today's Saudi Arabia, but in the Levant. Long before Islam came into existence, Kaaba in Mecca in Saudi Arabia was a pilgrimage site. The word Kaaba might have come from the Tamil language, which originated around 1700 BC. In Tamil Nadu, Kabaleshwaran temple is Lord Shiva's temple, and Kabali refers to Lord Shiva. The black stone at Kaaba is held sacred and holy in Islam, and is called Hajar Aswad, from the Sanskrit word Sanghe Ashweta, or non-white stone. The Shiva lingam is also called Sanghe Ashweta. So what is in Kaaba could be the same what Hindus worship. The pedestal Maqam Ibrahim at the center of the Kaaba is octagonal in shape. In Hinduism, the pedestal of Brahma the Creator is also octagonal in shape. Muslim pilgrims visiting the Kaaba temple go around it 7 times. In no other mosque does the circumambulation prevail. Hindus invariably circumambulate or pradakshina around their deities. This is yet another proof that the Kaaba shrine is a pre-Islamic. In Shiva temples, Hindus always practice circumambulation or pradakshina. Just as in Hinduism, the custom of circumambulation by Muslim pilgrims around the entire Kaaba building 7 times shows that the claim that in Islam they don't worship stones is not true. Allah was one of the deities in Kaaba long before Islam was founded. It might come as a stunning revelation to many that the word Allah itself is Sanskrit. In Sanskrit language, Allah, Akka, and Amba are synonyms. They signify a goddess or mother. The term Allah forms part of Sanskrit chants, invoking goddess Durga, also known as Bhavani, Chandi, and Mahishasarmardini. The Islamic word for God is therefore not an innovation, but the ancient Sanskrit appellation retained and continued by Islam. Allah means mother, or goddess, and mother goddess. The King Vikramaditya inscription was found on a gold dish, hung inside the Kaaba shrine in Mecca, proving beyond doubt that the Arabian Peninsula formed a part of his Indian Empire. Reference page 315 of a volume known as Siyara Local, treasured in the Maktab-i Sultaniya Library, in Istanbul, Turkey. King Vikrama's preachers had succeeded in spreading the Vedic Hindu sacred scriptures in Arabia, and Arabs were once followers of the Indian Vedic way of life. The annual fair known as Okaj, which used to be held every year around the Kaaba temple in Mecca, and the present annual Hajj of the Muslims to the Kaaba, is of earlier pre-Islamic congregation. Even to this day, ancient Shiva emblems can be seen. It is the Shankara or Shiva stone that Muslim pilgrims reverently touch and kiss in the Kaaba. Muslims shave their head and beard, and don special sacred attire that consists of two seamless sheets of white cloth. One is to be worn round the waist, and the other over the shoulders. Both these rites are remnants of the old Vedic practice of entering Hindu temples clean, and with holy seamless white sheets. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, the Kaaba has 360 idols. Traditional accounts mention that one of the deities among the 360, destroyed when the place was stormed, was that of Saturn, another was of the moon, and yet another was one called Allah. That shows that in the Kaaba, the Arabs worshipped the 9 planets in pre-Islamic days. In India, the practice of Navagraha Puja, that is worship of the 9 planets, is still in vogue. 2 of these 9 are Saturn and Moon. In India, the crescent moon is always painted across the forehead of the Shiva symbol. Since that symbol was associated with the Shiva emblem in Kaaba, it came to be grafted on the flag of Islam. The Hindu Vedic letter in Sanskrit, Om, if seen in a mirror, one can see the Arabic numbers 786, and this is the most sacred number for Muslims, and copies of the Arabic Quran have the mysterious figure 786 imprinted on them. In their ignorance, simply they do not realize that this special number is nothing more than the holiest of Vedic symbols misread, and none of the Arabic scholar has been able to determine how they chose 786 as the sacred for them. In short, Muslims are also going around Shiva Lingam at Kaaba 7 times, as Hindus go around it 7 times. A few miles away from Mecca are a big signboard which bars the entry of any non-Muslim into the area. This is a reminder of the days when the Kaaba was stormed and captured solely for the newly established faith of Islam. The object in barring entry of non-Muslims was obviously to prevent its recapture. Kaaba is clothed in a black shroud. This custom also originated from the days when it was thought necessary to discourage its recapture by camouflaging it. Another Hindu tradition associated with the Kaaba is that of the sacred stream Ganga, sacred waters of the Ganges River. According to the Hindu tradition, Ganga is also inseparable from the Shiva emblem, as the crescent moon. Wherever there is a Shiva emblem, Ganga must coexist. True to that association, a sacred fount exists near the Kaaba. Its water is held sacred because it has been traditionally regarded as Ganga since pre-Islamic times. This is talking about Zamzam water. Well, that's the argument for the opinion that the Kaaba and the Hajj rituals performed by Muslims were actually taken by Islam from Hinduism. Frankly, there are several arguments from this article that I disagree with. For example, maybe some Muslims consider the number 786 to be a sacred number, but not all of them. This is an article about the number 786 from the MuslimVibe.com. Why is the number 786 symbolic in Islam, and what does it mean? By Sheikh Hamid Waqar. The number 786, that many Muslims from the subcontinent use to signify in the name of Allah, the ever-merciful, the ever-compassionate, or Basmala, is derived from an ancient system of Arabic numerology, called Abjad. This system of numerology has a long history, dating back to the Urgadi manuscripts, 1,500 years before the birth of Jesus. In this system, each letter is assigned a certain number, between 1 and 1,000. For instance, the Aleph is ascribed the number 1, the Ya is ascribed the number 10, the Kaf is ascribed the number 100, and the Gain is ascribed the number 1,000. The numbers related to the words are then added, and one reaches a number signifying the word. For instance, the Arabic word Ali is 70 Ain, plus 30 Lam, plus 10 Ya, equals 110. You can calculate the following numbers, equaling 786 below. Well, this is a picture of the gematria calculation of Basmala. So, there are indeed Muslims who consider the number 786 to be a sacred number. This is an article from IslamQA.org that refutes it. What is the significance of the number 786 in Islam, and where does it come from? Answer, Bismillah, al-Jawab billahi at-Tawfiq, the answer with Allah's guidance. There is no shari basis to use the number 786. It is not preferable either. Also, 786 in no way represent Bismillah al-Rahman al-Rahim, and is not the sun that way. Can number 786 replace the holy name of God? The innovation of writing 786, replacing Bismillah al-Rahman al-Rahim, has been adopted for a long time, and the majority of the Ummah is still indulged in it inadvertently. Apart from the common folk, the scholars also heed no attention towards it, and to avoid disrespect to the holy words, they use it in their letters and documents. They adopt it as correct and better way to invite Allah's blessings, and have also started replacing the holy words by this number on their houses, offices, buildings, etc. Unfortunately, this tendency is gradually gaining momentum. But do we see this number instead of the holy words in the Holy Quran? Or can we write it there as well? Can we remove Bismillah al-Rahman al-Rahim from the top of Surah al-Fatiha, and replace it with the number 786? Obviously not. If we study the Quran, we see it carries the holy words, in a letter from Prophet Solomon to the Queen of Sheba Bilqis, who was an infidel at that time. Even Prophet Muhammad in his letters to different heads of states and governments, used the holy words at the top. Therefore whosoever uses 786, with the intention to obtain Allah's blessings, is a misguided person, and any attempt to justify it, is ignorance. More astonishing is that fact, that 786 is an aggregation of the numbers of Hindu, Lord Hari Krishna. We see here, this article calculates the gematria of Hari Krishna, to be 786. Thus, the aggregate number of these letters, Hari Krishna, equals 786. This is also the case of Bismillah al-Rahman al-Rahim. Therefore, it is necessary to avoid using this number, to avoid the danger of being indulging in infidelity. Islam's foundation is laid on the belief in Tawheed, oneness of God. If we associate anyone with Allah's exalted names, orally or practically, we would be committing infidelity, which is an unpardonable sin. The Quran warns us, one who finds a rival against Allah, Allah will never allow him to enter paradise, and his abode is the hell. So, there are Muslims who use the number 786 as a sacred number, but there are also Muslims who oppose it. However, we cannot deny that some parts of the Kaaba and the Hajj rituals resemble Hindu temples and rituals. In Islam, we know the teaching that whoever resembles a people is part of that people. Therefore, regardless of whether it is true that the Kaaba and the Hajj rituals were taken from Hinduism, Islam is part of the Hindu community, because its holy place and rituals resemble Hindu holy places and rituals. That's all for this video. See you in the next video. Jesus bless you.
Walau burung beo yang tak sadar beku, bangga sampai mati, hafal tanpa ngerti. Matahari masuk lumpur, mani keluar dari sumbi. Ombak tinggi anak angkat, babi haram babu halal. Halo Empat bini